Well, what's going on with your husband or partner with narcissistic traits or what you believe is a narcissistic personality disorder? We're going to get into it in this video. I'm glad you're back for part 2 of this series. If you didn't watch the part 1, I think it's important that you watch the first one up there. I'm Dr. Don Russell. I'm the founder and lead of Russell Healing Institute, where we offer a variety of works, and part of that is, one of the things that we do is work for women that find themselves in an extremely difficult marriage with a man that has narcissism. It's a Detox Your Marriage program, and you can click the link below to find out more about that. So let's get into it. Let's get into the details. I promised you that there's more going on than meets the eye with your man that has narcissistic traits. Well, to start with, come back into ancient Greek mythology, where the term narcissism comes from. The story is that Narcissus was a person who was very beautiful, known for his beauty, and he rejected the attention and admiration and, come-ons from women, and eventually he looked into a pool of water and saw his own reflection and fell in love. And this is where you get it, right? Fell in love with the reflection of himself. He was entranced by what he saw in the water. And one version of this myth by Ovid, the Greek author, is that he, in frustration, he beat his breast purple in agony because he couldn't have his love, which was himself in the water. And so feel free to go to the store and get a potted. I remember when I was a kid in school, we grew narcissist flowers in the springtime. That's where it came from. So you believe your husband is a narcissist. You're at the end of your rope. You're exasperated, frustrated, despairing. What the heck is going on? Well, this narcissism, right, it's a personality trait, it's a trait of behavior embedded in the character. If it is in fact narcissistic personality disorder, or if it's traits, then it definitely is a mental health condition marked by behaviors of grandiosity, right? I'm the most important person in the room. A sense of entitlement. I deserve the best treatment. I deserve the best parking spot. And so consequently, a profound shortage of empathy, a tendency to use those around him, and arrogance, of course, and just inappropriate emotional reactions. So that's what's going on, in terms of how it presents, how it looks. I promised you in this video that we have to go deeper, and we have to get curious. So on the surface, right, it looks like, wow, that person, they're full of themselves. They must really feel good about themselves. But stop for a moment and think, and I'm going to challenge you to think in this video. The people I know that are genuinely confident, and work with me on this exercise. Think through somebody that you know that's genuinely confident, genuinely self-accepting, genuinely self-compassionate. Aren't they also quite humble? Aren't they also the kind of person that makes time and space for somebody else? Hey, but I want to know, how are you doing? How was your day? I remember some years ago I was chairing a conference, and I had the role of picking up the main plenary speaker of this conference from the airport and driving the speaker to the hotel. And so we had this 20-minute drive, brought this big internationally known speaker to our conference, and he took the trip from the airport to the hotel to talk about me and how I'm doing. so right, this guy's he's written books, he's an international speaker, and I'm like, I feel very privileged to be in his presence. And he's going, Don, how you doing? Like, how's it going professionally and all that stuff, right? Because this man, I know, is genuinely confident, genuinely self-accepting, self-compassionate. And so therefore he has space for others in his life. So that points to a big, profound, and super important misconception that all of us get tricked into when we're in a relationship with a narcissist. We're tricked into believing that this presentation of grandiosity, entitlement, and arrogance is actually the truth about them. And I want to tell you, and I say this is one of the things I'm absolutely sure about, is that it's actually the absolute opposite. If you are in a relationship with somebody with narcissistic traits, or a narcissistic personality disorder, the actual truth about that person's heart, mind, and spirit is they are profoundly insecure and lacking confidence and scared. Take a moment, and I think when you try that on, you go, wait a minute, you know what? Don is right. Not that I need to be right, but I'm right. So that's important to recognize. Don't bother, saying, hey, husband, here's what I learned on YouTube today, because that conversation won't go well, I promise you. But I need you to know that in your own mind, to be convinced of that reality, because that changes your perspective big time. But we want to go deeper. So the person isn't actually grandiose and entitled and arrogant. They're actually insecure, lacking confidence, and actually afraid and not self-assured. Okay, so where did that come from? Is the next question we need to think through. And the research, and lots of people don't actually read the research on narcissism. They just jump, well, narcissists can't change. In the first video, I challenged you with that premise as not just wrong and not supported by the clinical research, but also an unhelpful objectification of the other person, just like you feel objectified by him. So where does this narcissism come from? If he is in fact not grandiose and entitled and arrogant, but actually insecure and lacking confidence, why is that? Well, the research is very clear that there's a strong correlation. In psychological research, it's extremely difficult to create causal relationships or to prove causal relationships. It's relatively easy to identify correlation. And so we have a correlation, but we can't prove this causes that. But put two and two together, it's pretty clear. That the person with narcissism traits, or NPD, is a person who suffered, we call in the field, a developmental injury or an attachment injury in earlier life. So let me unpack that a little bit for you. What that means is that in their home growing up, there was a particular kind of dysfunction that left the child, who is now your partner, feeling unsafe, a deficit of available nurturance, available love, available acceptance. Basically, there is a scarcity in the home. And what that creates in the heart, mind, and spirit of the child who becomes an adult is an attachment injury and a particularly dysfunctional attachment schema. In some cases, an avoidant attachment, meaning the person is afraid to get too close or have someone get too close to them, and so they'll fight you off. When you say, hey, can we sit down and just talk about how we're doing in a relationship, and you get pushed off or dismissed, well, that's an avoidant attachment style being worked out. And that is the result of an attachment injury in childhood. An alternative is an anxious attachment style, and that is really just the opposite. That person in adulthood needs to get very close, and in a romantic relationship, that person becomes controlling of their partner, and an effort to stay so very close that it makes them feel safe and compensates for their insecurity. There's a third category, I'll just mention it briefly, which is also shows up with regularity in narcissists in adulthood. And this is a disorganized attachment, which is really just kind of a combination, in simple terms, just kind of a combination of the two, where I love you, I want to be super close to you, and I'm pushing you away at the same time. So confusing, so crazy making for the partner. Okay, so to review in this video, I encourage you to watch the previous video if you haven't, and definitely you'll want to stay tuned for the third video in this series. But in this video, we've identified, the term comes from Greek mythology, the person who saw their reflection in a pool and fell in love with himself and was agonized by not being able to have what they saw in the water. It's a crazy story. The narcissist is presenting with the appearance of grandiosity and entitlement. I'm the most important person in the room. I take up all the space in the room. Everybody should be looking at me, right? That's their presentation. And I'm challenging you to reflect on this idea that that's actually a profound conjuring up of compensatory. It's compensation for just the opposite in their heart and soul. In their heart and soul, they're feeling profoundly insecure, profoundly lacking in confidence, profoundly unsafe and scared, and so therefore scared. And I'm knitting together that didn't come from nowhere. Where that came from is from an attachment injury or a developmental injury in that person's childhood, making them have this, what we call defensive structure. And that is what you're bumping into. And that is what is so enormously frustrating for you as the partner. That was a lot. You might need to watch this video twice to really wrap your head around it. Definitely pop a comment. While you're at it, subscribe to this channel. That will be helpful for you because you'll be the first to know when a new video comes out on this channel on this topic. But it'll also help other people in the same kind of struggle to hear some new clinically proven, clinically validated information that will be helpful for the relationship. So click subscribe so that you're helping other people too. And of course, you're helping us also. In the third video in this series, which you'll definitely want to check out, the link is up there. What you're going to do, what you're going to learn is you're going to learn how you have tremendously more power than you know to recover yourself, strengthen yourself without going numb. And as a consequence, when you are stronger and more confident within yourself, which is absolutely possible, you have the potential and the power to transform the relationship. We have story after story after story of women that have accomplished just that. All right, so see you in the next video. Thanks for watching this video.